news. The third annual scholarship awards have been presented by the Honorable Marcella Liebert. A rape convict in Antigua dies suddenly in prison, and President Obama requests $75 million for police body cameras. Good afternoon. Welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Tuesday, December 2nd, 2014. I'm Ebony Brandon. Now for a look at this afternoon's news developments. On Wednesday, 26th November and Thursday, 27th November, Honorable Marcella Liebert, Parliamentary Representative for Central Bastille, presented the third annual scholarship awards to deserving students of the Irishtown Primary School and the Beach Allen Primary School. Raheem Phipps and Zachariah Moore, formerly of the Irishtown Primary School, now both students of the Bastille High School, received scholarship awards in the category of students who have been successful academically, of good behavior, and are in need. Alicia Cotton, formerly of the Beach Allen Primary, now a student at Washington Archibald High School, received a similar award. As the minister and parliamentary representative is also a sports enthusiast, awards were also given to the Victor and Victrix Ludorum of the Irishtown Primary School. Deshaun Reed, Matika Pemberton, Wynyard Woolard, and Elvin Dufrates from the Beach Allen Primary School received awards for the Best Sportswoman and Best Sportsman in Central Bastille. The parliamentary representative encouraged the students of both schools to strive for excellence in all their endeavors. A PEP group made up of St. Kitts Nevis Association of Persons with Disabilities, SKNAPD, members that are learning computer graphics at the McKnight Community Center, last week Thursday held a surprise birthday party for their facilitator, Anthony Mills, and Councillor Earl Clark. The Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Earl Asim Martin, and Minister of Health, the Honorable Marcella Liebert, were both unable to attend, but sent both men gifts of fruit and cake to mark the occasion. In accepting the gifts, Mr. Clark said that being disabled did not imply an end to life. Referring to them as the less abled, he praised the training PEP was offering the graphic designers, as their training could develop into a lucrative business opportunity. The St. Kitts Nevis Defence Force is seeking to boost enrollment with a recruitment exercise currently underway. Successful applicants must be citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis who are between 18 and 31 years of age, medically fit and free from disabilities or limitations, be physically fit and mentally stable, and are prepared to undergo rigorous 3-month basic military training. The recruitment ends on March 31st, 2015. We'll have more for you on this particular news item in a later newscast. In regional developments, the AIDS Action Foundation says St. Lucia has achieved some success in reducing the spread and impact of HIV and AIDS. The foundation says this was possible through collaboration between the Ministry of Health and civil society organizations. The teamwork continued yesterday with an education and sensitization drive at the Blue Corral Mall in Castries. Organizers say while these successes must be applauded, there is no more room for complacency in the fight against HIV/AIDS. Alison Kentish has the details.
According to the AIDS Action Foundation, St. Lucia has recorded successes in the establishment of treatment, care and support programs, reduction in HIV mortality, and is moving towards the elimination of mother-to-child transmission of HIV. However, the foundation warns that there continues to be major gaps in the national response to HIV/AIDS, and there is concern that these achievements may be eroded in the face of dwindling financial resources and a loss of focus on HIV. On World AIDS Day 2014, a number of organizations, including United and Strong and the Ministry of Health, came together to host an educational drive at the Blue Coral Mall in Castries. Sexual health educator Bennett Charles says there is no room for complacency with HIV.
AIDS is still very much with us. We do have HIV infections happening. We do have persons who are living with AIDS, and we really wanted to bring it back home, because I think sometimes we forget, persons tend to forget that HIV is still affecting persons around the world. And so we wanted to at least have this one activity today to at least make people remember that it is still with us.
The sexual health educator is a firm believer in comprehensive sex education in schools. He says frank, honest dialogue that is age-appropriate is an essential component of sex education.
You do have a family life and education component at secondary schools, and some primary schools actually do it. But I think the biggest thing is the way it is done. I have been in situations where you may have educators within the school systems who choose to skip topics. When it comes to the topic of sex and sexuality, they may skip it and go on to focus more on the family living and other issues. But if we're going to talk about sexual health in schools, it has to be holistic, it has to be age appropriate at the end of the day. And we must at least bring in the parents, have consultations with the parents, so parents can know what the children are being taught at the various schools in itself.
Less than 2 weeks after he was found guilty of rape and remanded to prison, and 11 days before he was due to be sentenced, former school teacher Jaswick Jones collapsed and died at Her Majesty's Prison in Antigua. Jones was reportedly in the prison yard when he took ill and died shortly afterwards yesterday. The 56-year-old, who could have been jailed for life for the sexual offense against a 14-year-old girl, was said to be diabetic and had an enlarged heart. He had claimed during his trial in the High Court that he was wrongfully accused of raping the child and said it was not possible because of the aforementioned health conditions. The jury reached a unanimous guilty verdict on November 21st. The former St. Joseph's Academy teacher, who is originally from Guyana, was due to be sentenced on December 12th for the rape. In international developments, U.S. President Barack Obama is setting up a task force to implement standards in the use of military equipment by police. This follows an outpouring of anger in Ferguson, Missouri, after an unarmed black teenager was killed by a white police officer in August. We hear more in this report.
This protest was entitled Hands Up, Walk Out. And here in St. Louis and across the country, people heeded the call, walking out of businesses, offices and campuses at lunchtime.
Class is important and school is important, but justice is more important.
It was the latest coordinated expression of outrage at the killing of unarmed teenager Michael Brown by a police officer in August, and the latest manifestation of the campaign to reform policing in the U.S. It's been clear for some time that this is no longer just about Ferguson. And in Washington, President Obama was keen to show that he's listening. At the White House, the President, the Vice President and the Attorney General met with Black and Latino organizers from Ferguson and around the country.
The issue of military equipment being utilized.
President Obama also announced the result of his review of police practices, specifically whether local police forces have become over-militarized.
I will be signing an executive order that specifies how we are going to make sure that that program is accountable, how we're going to make sure that that program is transparent, and how we're going to make sure that we're not building a militarized culture inside our local law enforcement.
The programs to supply combat equipment to the police will stay in place, but the President says he will form a task force to ensure common standards on its usage. In addition, he says he will ask Congress for $75 million to purchase 50,000 body cameras for police officers. But the protesters want deeper change. Whether wearing a body camera or not, police officers can legally kill someone as long as they testify that they were in fear of their lives.
We don't want this to be a moment but a movement. We don't want this to be a one-time thing. We want people to keep their eyes open. We want people to be aware that black people are being killed every 28 hours by white cops.
Law enforcement in California is testing smart pistols equipped with technology that alerts police dispatchers whenever their gun is unholstered or fired. Bob Orr has the details.
Deputy James Wright is a top marksman for the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Department. He is also one of a dozen deputies, now carrying a 9mm pistol specially equipped with a small tracking module designed to alert headquarters whenever he unholsters or fires the weapon. It's high-tech backup for an officer who patrols without a partner.
I could draw my weapon and fire it, and dispatch would already be notified that I had done that prior to me updating them.
So there is a sense of reassurance there for you in that you know help's on the way.
Yes.
Santa Cruz is one of 2 departments in the United States now testing the technology. The system is simple. Using the chip in the gun and the officer's smartphone, it sends this yellow alert when an officer draws his gun, and this red alert when the weapon is fired.
You can see how light that is.
Jim Schaaf works for Yardarm Technologies, the Silicon Valley firm that's developing the tracking system.
When an officer uses their weapon in the field, they're not always able to call immediately on the radio, and we cut that response down time to seconds.
Schaaf used an air gun to demonstrate how the technology works.
This tells me the weapon's been fired and what time.
It'll have the location, time, number of shots, all of that information will be captured.
Santa Cruz Sheriff Phil Wowak says the system may save lives, and it will provide a clear record of what happened in any officer-involved shooting.
This product will give us the ability to know the exact time that that officer drew their weapon, the time between the drawing of the weapon and the firing of the weapon, and then the exact time between each individual shot.
So this is not about tracking the actions of your officers or keeping some kind of database on how often so-and-so pulls a weapon.
Not at all, not at all. It really is about knowing when a person is engaged in a hostile confrontation and getting them the assistance they need to make that situation safe.
In today's weather, we'll experience sunny skies along with patchy clouds and a 40% chance of intermittent showers. Winds will blow from the east to northeast at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tonight's skies are expected to be clear with increasing clouds and showers overnight. That ends the ZIZ Midday newscast for today. I'm Ebony Brandon. Thank you so much.